Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Music Lab podcast. My name is Dogg, and I'm so excited to be back with all of you for another episode of the podcast. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our social media pages. That helps us, that helps the bands, artists, and founders of music magazines here on the podcast. Also, check out our sponsor, RAR Outfitters. That's RAWR, outfitters.com. Don't just wear RAR. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have witnessed this gentleman in action we were just talking about it, for about 12 years now, and finally get to talk to you in person. Mr. Josh Jackson, founder and editor-in-chief of Paste Magazine. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Dog.
So we started this company in 1998.
Yeah, yeah, December of '98. It looked very different back then.
It sure did. What was the price of gas and eggs? But let's fast forward. I want to talk about, we just saw you at Americana Fest this year in Nashville. I think you'd said to me that this was the first time you had been back in a little bit, or how many times has this been for you guys at Americana Fest?
I don't know how many times, but it's been well over a decade, maybe 15 years since we'd been to Americana Fest. Went to some of those early ones when we just started the magazine. But yeah, it was really good to get back. I enjoyed myself at the Ryman, seeing the awards show with just all those crazy combinations of musicians was such a good time. And then getting to throw a party like we do in Austin, in Nashville, that was fantastic.
Yeah, Roseanne Cash's tribute was just fantastic. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure hearing that in person, like what were probably gave you all the feels, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So what were the bands that really kind of struck you at this year's Americana Fest at your showcase?
So I loved the back-to-back combination of Flory and Fust on that outside stage. Both young bands showing what Americana can mean, pushing it in different directions. But yeah, I mean, it was so fun to bring back Tiff Merritt and she's done stuff with us in the past, and um, to get to showcase a kid like Zach Person, who played just absolutely shredding on guitar. Yeah, there were so many fun moments that day.
What is it that Americana Fest maybe has that maybe South by doesn't, and then vice versa? Because you've been to both for so many years.
Yeah, well, I mean, Americana Fest, it's a much smaller event, so I think it's a much tighter knit group. Most of those people in that world know each other, and there's more of a camaraderie. South by is so scattered among every kind of genre you can imagine. Lots of different scenes, people from all over the world. So it has a different feel, and is exciting in its own right because you can kind of dip into all those different things. But yeah, Americana Fest, it just felt like homecoming almost. Just um, I do love me some Americana music, and it was fun to get to see a lot of that.
Yeah, yeah. I was. It was my first time, not my first time to Nashville, but first time for Americana Fest, and it's so funny to me that nowhere else in the world is there a city like Nashville where you have like musicians that own restaurants and bars. Like it's
Yeah.
very rare. Like where else do you see that in the world? Like, is that something that strikes you, or is that something that doesn't really bother you?
It doesn't bother me, but yeah, I mean, it is. It's fun to see what some of these people have spent their time in when they're not on the road. And Nashville's a place where you can be a musician and kind of make a life at home because there's so much going on in that town. Um, so yeah, people are looking at venues and ranches and restaurants and whatever. So yeah, it's a lot of friends in that town, and I love getting up to Nashville.
Yeah. So how are those events like, at Love and Exile, when you do the South by events, how is that an extension of the brand and what are you trying to accomplish with those events?
Yeah, it's we are we don't have an office anymore. We used to have an office in Atlanta and New York. When COVID hit, we went completely remote, and we've got our staff scattered across the country. So, it's a time where we can physically be a presence in a music scene. I think that's important to maintain. Just to remind people that we're still here, we're real people, and it's a time to get to see a lot of the people we work with during the year, a lot of the publicists and labels, and the music, just to throw a party like that and enjoy the music, and then come home with clips or we've done some paid sessions in some of these places before. Yeah, capturing that content and keeping our finger on the pulse of what's going on there. We've got to go listen to live music to really know that. And our staff does that more than me these days. It's good to have younger folks that are keeping up with the next things that are coming along, and I get to do the ones I enjoy.
Yeah. It must be fun though to still have, because I can just hear it in your voice and just how you talk, to have that love for it still like you did in 1998, to even like, have this thought to do this in the first place. Like,
Yeah,
talk about like having that consistency throughout all these years.
yeah. I don't think a love of music ever goes away. When we started it, we were the kids making mixtapes for our friends growing up, and still doing that into adulthood. And we love turning people on to great music. There's a joy that comes from that.
Yeah, that was the mantra, and that is the mantra of this podcast. That's why we go to South by. That's why we go to Americana Fest, because you're not seeing the bands and artists that are on the billboards in your major cities. But I guess let's talk about then. Let's talk about the beginning, right? So it's you and a couple friends. You say it all to yourselves, like, "Hey, like how we want to do this, but how do we do it?" And then like like yeah, like what are the initial steps in like doing all of this? I mean,
Yeah, so we started out. We had a lot of friends who are musicians, and we just thought, how do these people make a middle class living? They don't need to be rock stars, but more people should hear this wonderful music that we love. We think more people should hear them. And so we started out as an online CD store in '98, with a little bit of a record label. We put out one record back then, and we were just selling records of friends of ours, selling CDs online, and um, cross promoting to everybody's audiences. And we started putting in when you bought anything from our online store, we put in a little sampler CD that had a lot of our other artists on there. And so, the artists were getting exposure and getting cross-pollinated. We were building up an audience for ourselves. But I was always I was a journalism major. I loved, I was a magazines major, and wanted to, figure out a way to kind of go beyond what we were doing. It was becoming too big to be a hobby and not big enough to be a full-time job. And then in 2002, we just pulled that trigger and decided we're going to launch a music magazine, and quit our jobs and give it a go. And we didn't really know what we didn't know, but that turned out for the best. But we were already doing those samplers, so we started doing those with whatever we covered in the magazine, and yeah, just kind of went from there.
So that first year, can you give us a number? Like what did it cost like to put out a magazine like in that first year?
Yeah, I mean, we already had our built-in audience of people buying CDs from us, and we said, hey, we're going to do a magazine. Subscribe for $26, and you'll get four issues throughout the year with four new sampler CDs. And we had enough people sign up for that first one that paid our printing costs. Managed to convince some advertisers that we were legit,
Legit.
and part of that was getting a commitment from Borders to put us in all their stores. We had done a mock cover that had Victoria Williams and Mark Olson on the cover with Sam Phillips and Wilco and Tom Waits and the Borders buyer just was like, well, this is the kind of stuff we sell in our stores. So yeah, this fits our audience. So all of a sudden we were this real magazine with real advertisers, buying out the back page um, and we put that first one together. I think between my friend Tim Regan Porter and I wrote probably two-thirds of the that first issue, and then had some freelancers that filled in the rest. And yeah, we had a magazine. We had a proof of concept, and found a new designer after that, and got in Barnes and Noble, and yeah, just kind of hit a niche. I think people were hungry for a music magazine that covered a pretty broad spectrum, but really focused on the music that we loved and didn't care if it was, a huge major label artist or some indie person that had only sold 500 copies of their CD, but we loved it and we wanted other people to know about it. So yeah.
So in 2002, I guess, harken back to that year and give the audience an opportunity too. What was the competition back then? What were the other sites? What were the other magazines other than Rolling
Yeah,
Stone and Spin?
there were some good like genre specific magazines like CMJ for the more kind of rock side of things. There was No Depression was a great magazine for the Americana world. But the ones that were more general, like broader in focus were Rolling Stone and Blender. And they were fighting over Christina Aguilera covers and things like that. So it was a moment where, yeah, I just think we stepped in and others stepped in at like there were a sort of a flurry of new magazines that year. I think just because we all saw that there was this hole in the market. I didn't have, if I wanted to read a really great profile on an artist that I loved, I was as likely to find that in the New York Times or New Yorker magazine or something like that than I was in in the music magazines that I was seeing. A safer, I mean, No Depression did these great profiles, but they were just so specific, and our tastes were broader than that. And so, yeah, we decided there was room for us in the market, and it turned out to be correct. And somehow, some way, we're still here, all these years later. And
So
I'm doing the same thing I was doing in 2002.
why the name Paste? Was that your idea or whose idea was it to call it Paste?
We have no idea who came up with it at this point. I do know that the original tagline was connecting music to the soul. So, we wanted something short and pithy, and yeah, paste 5 letters that worked for us. So, yeah, and it was. I think we had the tagline before we had the name.
Yeah. You were a Wordle a couple weeks ago. You should be proud.
Paste was. Oh man, I play that. Did I skip that day because I
Yeah.
play Wordle every
Was
day?
it,
Paste.
yeah, yeah, it was a couple weeks. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, because we do it at work and yeah.
That's
Oh,
terrible because I use paste as my word every day, and I was like, one of these days I'm going to get it. So that was probably the one day I skipped.
See, I do adios.
Adios. Yeah.
Yeah, get the old
Yeah.
three vowels in there, right?
Uh,
So I want to talk about how important was it to you and to your partners as well in the early beginnings of like the organization and structure of like what you guys were doing, or were you just kind of flying by the seat of your pants at that
and
point?
we were flying. Yeah, we were just flying. Yeah, we kind of were figuring it out as we did it, and that led us to doing some things, a little more out of the box. For a while there, we had our displays in all of our favorite record stores across the country, where we did, stuff from the sampler was the CDs were slotted in those displays, and then you had the magazine in there, and the name your own price for subscription. We just tried lots of different things, and it was a roller coaster. Like there have always been like years where it seems like we're on top of the world, and years wondering if we're going to make it to next year. And um, so yeah, it's been a roller coaster ride, but a really fun one.
Has there been one like business decision that you've made that you were real confident about that didn't work out that surprised you?
Um, yeah, going to monthly. We went from quarterly to bi-monthly, and then we made this jump to monthly, and the advertising couldn't sustain, like, had a hard time sustaining that. So I think that was a rough one. But yeah, there's been lots of those, lots of where, we did a CD in every issue, so and we covered movies, and so we tried a DVD in every issue as well, and that just got really expensive. Um, I think it cost, because we hadn't put sponsored on the page that was in the magazine connected to that, even though I thought that was obvious. I think we lost a national magazine award, and I think we got disqualified a year because of that. So yeah, I mean, there's been lots of, I mean, we've tried lots of things. Some of it has worked, and some of it hasn't.
And you've been a good citizen to the country because I mean, think about indirectly how much money you've given to the government through the post office, right?
Through the post office. Post office, though, I mean, I couldn't complain about that deal. When you're a media mailer, when you're a magazine, it's a lot cheaper. But yeah, we did spend a lot of money on postage
Yeah.
and printing and distribution and all of those things. It costs a lot of money to put out a magazine.
So when you decided to go then strictly digital,
Mhm.
when you lost all of that like expense, where did that money then go toward for the company?
Well, we lost all that expense, but we also lost all that revenue that we were going. It was starting from scratch, and so we online advertising was still not great back then, but I think we were able to make that transition based on having a couple things do well for us. We had a story that was in our print magazine, but it also went viral online. It was our first online viral kind of thing. Was the evolution of the hipster, and it was based on the evolution of man, from ape to, but it was through the so 2001 through 2010. What it looked like to be a hipster, and so we had two models dressed up in various different kinds of, you know, the beardo, the vinyl collector, all that, and so that was our first big thing online, and yeah, kind of made us realize that we could make that jump. And so we did a subscription thing online for a little while. But yeah, I mean, our models, I feel like our models changed every 3 years since starting. Like, there's been some massive overhaul of how we have to operate. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was probably the biggest massive change, going from print to digital.
But it just goes to show you though, adaptability, especially in this day and age, like it's essential or you're going to just either crumble or you're not going to be in existence. I mean,
Yeah.
this is really how it is, for better or for worse, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's what we've had to do. And it's a lot of those are really hard transitions. But yeah, we've just tried to plug along,
Yeah.
and yeah, I'm just glad that I get to keep doing it.
And also too, this landscape of like the big fish eating the little fish constantly, is that how much of I guess of that is a concern to you, or does that are you more of just a horse blinders, like let me just focus on what I'm doing?
Well, no, I mean, we've been that big fish in some instances.
Sure.
Even back in the when we were just selling CDs, there was another company doing similar things to us called Weather Vane, and they were ready to be done doing that. And so we bought them out and took on their artists and their inventory and started selling those. And we acquired Noisetrade when Noisetrade was kind of at its end, and stewarded that for a while until people stopped caring about downloads and it was all streaming, and so that model kind of went away. But yeah, and then more recently, with Jezebel getting shuttered, we didn't want to see it shuttered, so we revived that, and along with Splinter and the AV Club, and so yeah, I mean, we've had companies approach us and say, hey, we're interested, but yeah, we've nobody's just made that huge offer that um, we could walk away from or whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's all part of it. I imagine someday, hopefully, the brand will survive me and be part of some other company or whatever. So yeah, I don't know.
I think it's though funny like this dog and pony show that you know companies and kind of culture does that like that if you do like that if you do buy out a company that's always best for the consumer, right? Like a lot of times it's not. But in your case, you've made it a point to make sure that that is the case. How did
And
you
that's what
go
we're
about?
trying. That's what we're
Well, but I
trying.
mean,
We've
hey,
always been successful at that, but yeah, that's the goal.
yeah,
Um, yeah, the goal is to provide our readers with some surprise and delight, and get turn them on to things that they love, make them aware of things that they should be aware of, whether that's in politics or movies or music. Yeah, so that's what we're trying to do.
I always enjoy your Saturday Night Live reviews
Uh-huh.
on the. I have not seen any though yet for this season. Has something changed with that or?
So we've got them on the AV Club.
Oh, good. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
they're all in the AV Club.
Okay.
Um, uh, yeah, we were trying more not to double up on things. We have, we let the brands kind of do their own things, but we're working more on trying to play to each brand's strengths going
Yeah.
forward. So yeah,
Yeah, I love his as a huge fan of Saturday Night Live. I love his introspection. You can tell like he is just as much of a fan as I am, or as anybody. So that's
yeah,
kind of cool.
yeah. Matt is a fan of a lot of things. Survivor being one of them. So we'll see how that goes.
All right, that's a good segue. Are you a reality TV guy, or you stay away from that as far as you can?
I'm not a reality TV person, but I do. If family members are watching things, like I watch Survivor with my wife. One of my daughters was loved this show, uh, uh, Forged in. I don't.
Oh, he
I
is.
can't remember the knife making one. So I watched a lot of those episodes with her. Yeah, I'm not someone who ever watches reality TV on my own.
Yeah. So, as a family man, like, do you feel like today it's easier for your work-life balance, or was it easier, say, 10 years ago, 20 years ago?
It was very difficult in launching a magazine to have any work-life balance, and I had young kids at the time.
Yeah.
That was tough. It's definitely easier now in the online world. I mean, it's not to say that there's not nights where I'm getting stuff done, but yeah, it's a different animal. So yeah, I want all of our people to have some kind of work-life balance, and I know that that can be hard. Always feeling like there's something else to do, and I'm sure there always is something else to do.
Yeah. So I guess since you're at the biggest that you've been currently as a company, do you ever think about like at what cap of employees you'd like to not be over, like to, oversee, I guess, or is that not in your
No, I
wheelhouse?
mean, I would love for everything to grow to where we needed, huge newsrooms again. But yeah, I mean, no, I mean, there's no cap to it. Um, it's just, we've always had to stay the size that made us survive. So, um, yeah, The more the merrier.
Yeah. I guess getting back to the, bigger companies eating up the smaller companies, when Time Warner took on what, like half of South by,
Yeah.
you could tell like a slow, like, I don't want to say demise, but like a change in philosophy, if that's fair to say.
Yeah. I mean, South
And
by has gotten a lot more corporate over the years.
yeah, I mean, talk about that, like, just as a businessman, but then also as a fan.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like there's a handful of folks gobbling everybody up right now. Penske owns South by now, along with a lot of the things that happen at South by. But I still love South by. I enjoy going there. It's always a good place for music discovery. And it's Austin in the spring. I mean, what's not to love? So, yeah, I mean, Pitchfork going to Condé Nast didn't work out quite like I think everybody thought it would. I thought that would have been a good fit, and it would have, um, so yeah, I mean, it can go any direction. I mean, there's companies out there where that are very clickbaity companies, and there's ones out there that are trying to do good journalism, and you worry when the good journalism sites get eaten up by clickbaity companies. Uh, yeah, um,
Yeah.
I don't have to pay too much attention to all of that. What happens once those things happen? I mean, we've got our heads down and enough work to do. So, yeah,
Yeah. It's funny, like my friends and I always joke that Pitchfork gives music overall a 6.3.
I think they love it. No, I would disagree with that. I mean, no matter the era, I think Pitchfork's always had a love for music. It's just that, yeah, there's always a bit of snark there, and that's who they are, and that's fine.
Yeah, yeah,
We used to have some of the same freelance writers writing for us in Pitchfork, and you could tell that they were writing for their audiences. Like like there would be different kinds of things that they were writing. Um, but yeah,
yeah. From a Midwestern company too. That's funny. If they were from New
yeah,
York, you'd expect it.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean what Ryan built over there, I'd tip my hat to. That was a
Yeah,
great thing.
yeah. Yeah. I've never been to. Have you ever been to any of the Pitchfork music festivals? I've not been to any.
No, I never have. I've never. There's a handful of the big ones that I never went to. I went to every year. I was going to Bonnaroo and did some Austin City Limits, and we have our festivals here in Atlanta, and I just went out to a great one out in Oregon, the Pickathon. Um, was a really fun one. But I've done some Lollapaloozas, but I never did Coachella, and I never did Pitchfork.
Gotcha. Have you done Newport?
Oh yeah, I love Newport. Newport is one of the greatest.
It really is.
Yeah, if it was more convenient, I would do that every year. Yeah, and my wife loves that's her speed on a music festival. She loves going to Newport.
It's really nice. And I don't know if this is just me saying this at 47 years old. I think I would have said this 20 years ago too, but like a music festival ending at 7 o'clock is just a wonderful thing, isn't it?
No,
Like,
that's one of the things my wife loves about it. But yeah,
yeah,
but yeah,
like Jazz Fest
Jay
in New
Sweet
Orleans.
used to do a lot of stuff with Pace before he was over running Newport, and I'm was blown away by what he's built there. It's such a special. I mean, there's always been a specialness to Newport, but I think he really revitalized what it what it was. And yeah, Newport, yeah, maybe the best, maybe my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think I've been to as many as you have, but I think of the ones that I've been to, I think Newport is my favorite. I mean, where else can you take a boat from one of the most gorgeous towns in the country to a fort
Yeah,
and
and
see a music festival? I mean,
and
it's
some of
crazy.
my favorite pace sessions we've done were in those forts, those
Yeah.
old buildings that are kind of crumbling down.
Yeah.
We did some greats. We had Tom Morello in there. We had um, of Monsters and Men, and um, oh, there's so many great performances and Rodriguez, just in those forts. It was super fun.
Yeah, and the crowds are just so super chill. I don't know. Yeah, it's a well curated, just yeah, whole experience. So I guess if you ever did a paced music festival, like who would that one band that you'd want to have on that
Uh,
lineup?
that's a good question. So we have had we did 2 years of Pace festivals. We had Low headline. Um, had Brandy Carlisle play at that one.
Nice.
It was right after our first record, right in Decatur, Georgia. That was really fun. But if I were to do it today, and I would, ooh, who would I want our headliner for that festival to be? Um, I mean, we're not gonna reunite the Smiths, so maybe I feel like the Decemberists would be
Nice.
a good like who's a good the National.
Yeah,
That's very paced kind of headliner.
sure. Lord
Um,
Huron, maybe?
Lord Huron would be fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say no to that.
Of Monsters and Men, what is I we haven't heard anything from them. Have you heard anything? Like, are we hearing
Did
any
some
music
solo
from them?
stuff, and now that yeah, they're actually just about to I think release their first thing in forever.
Good, 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 good. That's good news. So let's talk about we'll transition a little bit. The death of print media. We kind of what year would you kind of say that that happened, or maybe range of years? And
Oh, it happened in August of 2010 when we printed our last issue.
that's what it was.
No, yeah, I don't think it's dead. I think people are going to continue to do neat and interesting things with it. I mean, we revitalized it for a couple issues in 2017, trying to do something that was like big and beautiful, and lost a lot of money on that, so that didn't work. But I think with music, people are going back to vinyl. There's something about having getting to hold something in your hands. Um, I just subscribed to some new magazine called Nautilus, which looks really interesting, kind of science, pop science kind of stuff. But it's just, I think you've got to make whatever you're making be beautiful and something that somebody wants to stick on their coffee table. And but yeah, I mean, yeah, print didn't die, but it definitely became less a part of our cultural conversation. And I think a lot of people still subscribe to something. We still get our Atlantics in the mail. I, you know, I wish I had time to read more of them when they come. So yeah, I don't think it's dead, but yeah, over the last 15 years, it's been in demise, certainly, maybe 20 years.
So you travel a lot. Is traveling now something that bothers you, or was there any point in your career that traveling bothered you, or do you always enjoy it, or what's
No, I
your
always
take on
enjoy
that?
it. I mean, I've never had a job where I was on the road, you know, 20 weeks of the year. Um, so when I travel, it's nice to get away, get to see other places.
Okay.
I've gotten to go to some really neat places with this job. When we're talking festivals, I got to go, I've been to festivals over in Norway and Germany. Um, I've, uh, the job took me down to Guatemala to record some sessions down there. That was amazing. So yeah, and then we used to do music cruises. Partnered with a Kayamo where we'd bring our whole staff on. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I love travel. No, travel's not really a burden for me.
Okay. I mean, just from talking to you, I didn't think it was, but yeah, I wanted to clear the air.
Yeah.
So Noisetrade, yeah, I mean, my gosh, before we talk, we started recording, like I told you, like how much of an impact you and Noisetrade had to me. Like, what did they do right, and what in the end really caused their demise?
So that was a brilliant thing that they created. So Noisetrade, for anybody who doesn't know, you could download artists' uh, tracks for give them an email address, and then you could tip them on top of that. It was great for artists, a way to find new fans. It was great for fans, a way to find new artists and be able to kind of download just vast catalogs of music and see what you like. Um, I mean, I think the demise for them was simple. It was streaming. Um, you know, we all were filling up our iPods at one point. I don't know the last time I've downloaded music. Um, so um, yeah, that yeah, the demise of downloads. I mean, things have happened so quickly in technology in the last, since we started doing paste. When we started doing paste, everybody's listening on CDs, and then all of a sudden it became you were filling up your iPod, and now everybody is just streaming everything in one place, whether that's through Apple Music or Spotify or whatever.
Yeah. So I want you to put on two hats for this question, all right? As a concert industry, if you were to give it a grade currently, what grade would you give it? And what is one thing that you think they could instantly do to make it a better experience for fans?
For a concert
Correct.
industry.
Yeah.
Um, I think um, yeah, I'd give it a B. I mean, there's good touring bands going on right now. There's been some new venue, like here in Atlanta, we've got a couple new venues, and I think of the Eastern being somewhere did it right, and it just feels like our Terminal West. Those are fairly new, um, uh, great venues. And then there's sort of the soul-sucking places that also are popping up. Um, that would keep me from giving it an A. Yeah, I mean, I think the vibe of the venues is an important thing. Um, you know, ticketing and I mean, there's a lot of issues with things like ticketing. The how expensive some of these tours have gotten just seems crazy. Um, particularly when it's a stadium show and you're 10 miles from the band. I still prefer to see a band that I love in a smaller venue rather than trying to get to these massive tours. It's just a more fun night for me. It's easier, like the logistics of it, the expense of it. Yeah. Um, so yeah, I mean, um, there's a lot of great venues that have been around forever, that have been responding to the needs of the moment. And yeah, kudos to anybody who can still own and operate a small theater venue and not have been eaten up by the 900-pound gorillas in that industry.
Yeah. Yeah, that's well said. So I guess for you personally, when you're always thinking, and looking at bands from, nationally, from globally, is it hard for you to sometimes like not appreciate Atlanta and like where you're from and like this music scene here?
No, I mean I think Atlanta's got a great scene, and and that scene's changed all the time. And I've had there's been times where I've had my finger more or less on the pulse of it. I don't feel like I have my finger on the pulse of it right now. But I mean, yeah, Atlanta's great. You know, we have a little venue here called Eddie's Attic, in Decatur, and I get to go and judge their open mic night shootout sometimes, and you're seeing lots of fun. That's how I get a lot of who's playing around town. I remember Faye Webster played one of those one time when I was judging, and I think she was the runner up, and I was very mad at my fellow judges because I was like, she's amazing, she's got everything. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's no, I love Atlanta. I'm I'm an Atlanta booster. I'm actually right now. I think my shirt is an Atlanta shirt. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Um, um, so yeah, no, I stack Atlanta up with just about anywhere.
Well, and I mean, to fly, I mean, you're in one of the best airports in the country. Like that's right
Yeah,
there.
you can get anywhere.
Yeah. So summers don't bother you? You don't mind the excessive heat, or do you
I
try to get
mean, I
away, or?
mind the heat, but no, I'll take the heat over the cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, up north, it's not like you guys get spared from the heat. You just also have the long winter. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I'll take my temperature. I mean, talk to me some, mid-August day, I might change my mind. But yeah, I can handle the heat.
So I actually had a Live Nation one of their production managers on the podcast a couple months ago, and we were talking about music festivals, and he said that at Live Nation they are seriously considering having music festivals where you're wearing a hoodie at night. That, festivals are going to happen in October and November and in
Okay.
February and March and not in peak summer because of the liability, because of the weather,
Yeah.
because of, like
Yeah,
what
I went
happened at
to an Austin
Bonnaroo this
City
year.
Limits before they moved it more into the fall, like it was in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
And that was ridiculous. Like everybody was like huddled around one tree that gave them shade, and there'd be people setting up their chairs where the shade was eventually gonna go. It was like, yeah,
Yeah.
that is, 107-degree kind of weather. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's like there are other industries, there are sports that are adjusting to, the climate. And I think now the concert industry, at least your outside venues, like I think it's going to be a reality that that's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know, I mean, it's hard to like there was, I think, a saturation in the festival market too, where they're all struggling in their own ways. So yeah, um, like you say, gotta adapt.
Yeah. So, well, it was Shaky Knees Festival, right? That's the festival
Yeah,
that's in
and that's in
Atlanta.
April, so it's not in the middle of. It's a good festival. I was out of town this time, but the Sunday lineup was just insane for Shaky this year.
Yeah, I have not been. Talk to the audience that's never been to Shaky Knees. Like the setting, like yeah. Talk about that festival.
Yeah, it's at a park here in Atlanta, and um, uh, it's so we had Music Midtown, and Music Midtown was kind of catering to the Imagine Dragons kind of headlining kind of stuff. Shaky Knees is more just a cool mix of like indie rock and singer-songwriters and big ass like hard rock stuff. It's like it kind of covers the gambit of stuff I love. So Devo played this year, and yeah, it's a beautiful place. It's a fun festival, pretty laid back. Everything I like in a festival.
Yeah. For somebody who's not a huge fan of Devo, and it seems like you are, what is it about that band that is just so endearing
Oh,
to so
man,
many people?
they're legends. Like no, I mean when they came around, I mean I think they had their own vision, their own, what they were going to do, and they have stuck with it, and it was unlike anything that came before it. And aside from all just the visuals and the personality of the band, the songs are just great. Like musically, they're tight, they're fun. Yeah, I was I've never seen them live, and I was sad not to get to see that one.
Yeah. Are you a Weird Al Yankovic fan?
Oh yeah,
That's somebody that I would have liked to see on this tour. I saw some YouTube footage of it, and it looked like, man, that's a what a show, huh?
yeah, yeah. I've never seen him live either, but yeah, I definitely am an appreciator of everything he does.
Yeah. So let's talk about the pace sessions because I think for you, just as a company, I think that is one of the highlights that you do. When did that start? How did that start? What was the method behind that?
So we started doing that back in like maybe 2008, 2009, just in our office in Atlanta. But it really didn't become what it is today until 2015 in our New York office, where we had a team up there that was just recording bands. And everybody comes through New York. And so it got to the point where we were doing them in Atlanta and in New York every day. We were just it was fun. Just seeing all the different bands and recording them and building up this library and you know, you can see all those on our YouTube channel now. And there's some great stuff. And we by recording so many people, we got so many people early that, you know, recorded them right when they were sort of a baby band and then they blew up. And it's fun to go back and watch all that. I'm you know, super proud of what Brad and Juan and before and Bob and you know all the different people who've recorded for us over the years have done. We've just got this massive library of so much cool stuff, and yeah, I mean, we get we get more traffic on our YouTube channel than we do on our website. Like that is our how people encounter Paste more than anything these days, and so I love that. I love that people are seeing those sessions and bands are saying, "Oh, you know, it was always my dream to be on one of those Pace sessions." Like that means a lot. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, you are a steward of the music business. You are just a wonderful guy. I'm glad that you were able to do this and that you agreed to do this. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, our social media pages. That helps us, that helps the bands, artists, and the magazines that cover them. Also, check out our sponsor, RAR Outfitters. That's RAWR, outfitters.com. Don't just wear, RAR. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Dog. You've been great. This is the Music Lab podcast.